It's 1 o'clock, so feel free to start whenever you like.
Okay. Hello, and a very warm welcome to this Lunch and Learn session on QR codes and related technology. May I thank AbilityNet and Annie for hosting and helping with this event. My name is Roger Furban from the UK Association for Accessible Formats, UCAF. I use Braille and speech as my accessible formats, and I am sitting in my office based near Hereford in the West Midlands of the UK. I know TechShare Pro has already had a session on packaging, so this is going to be a very useful addition, I think, to the conversation. We're not seeking to provide all the answers here, more share information and gain feedback from all of you who are present. I'm delighted to be joined today by Matthew and Javier. Matthew, I wonder if you could briefly introduce yourself.
Yes, certainly. Hi, everyone. I'm Matthew Cock. I'm a white cis man in my mid-50s. I'm quite tall with greying dark curly hair. I'm not disabled, but I work with and for blind and visually impaired people as the chief executive of Vocalize, which creates audio description and other access initiatives for theatres, museums, heritage sites, and online as well in the UK. And we're an Arts Council England funded organisation.
Fantastic. I think that's great. Javier, I wonder whether you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you so much, Roger. It's a pleasure. Okay, so I'm Javier. I'm white. I am in my 40s. And as you are hearing, I have a strong Spanish accent. Okay, here from Spain. I am the CEO and founder of the Navilence technology. That is the technology that uses like a new kind of QR code with colors that we are talking today. Okay, and it's really a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much, Roger, and to AbilityNet as well.
Thank you very much. I'd just like to sketch in a brief overview of QR codes, just in case anybody here is less familiar with that. It seems hardly possible that QR codes, quick response codes, this system has been with us for nearly 30 years, and it was invented back in 1994 in Japan. And its purpose was to track vehicles being manufactured. And inevitably, its use has extended and expanded greatly since. QR codes are used over a much wider range of applications now, and these include commercial tracking, entertainment, transport ticketing, product and loyalty marketing, in-store product labeling, and even on coins. QR codes are also used in augmented reality, so that's 3D, in 3D as it were, objects. And obviously, in more recent times, QR codes have been quite prominent in used with the current pandemic going on. Obviously, even with apps and on smartphones, these codes are far more easy to find on packages. However, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily very easy if you're blind or partially sighted, because the ranges of the smart codes and the type of codes maybe that they can make this quite difficult. So it's quite interesting that we are in a time when there is emerging technology in other areas, and it will be interesting to see whether QR codes evolve or whether they take more of a back seat. So time will tell. QR codes are used in museums, and I know, Matthew, you can probably say quite a lot about that. So would you like to tell us about how they're used in museums, and any work that you've been doing with Vocalize in this field.
Great, thank you, Roger. So before talking about museums, I just wanted to extend something that Roger was saying about how I think particularly since the start of the pandemic, they've become much more used. Apparently, a survey was done in 2014 in the UK, and only 30% of people had scanned a QR code at least once in their lives. And in a similar survey done in September last year, so September 2020, that figure was 86% in the UK. So that shows what an incredible, and I have no doubt that it was all since the start of the pandemic. Why we got interested in looking at QR codes, and we've done a survey of blind or visually impaired people into them, which I'll talk about I'll talk about now, was several of our museum clients who we produce audio description for and work with as training, they got in touch with us and asked us how accessible QR codes were, because they were trying to look for as many ways as possible of reducing, and this, it's another interesting thing, reducing touch in museums, so that they didn't have to hand things out, or giving people information rather than giving people physical things. They wanted to get people online and do everything online. And it's interesting that early on in the pandemic, there was much more concern about people catching COVID through touch, which is there's a big sidetrack there, because anyway. But basically, they didn't. These were museums like, for example, the Wellcome Collection, which have audio descriptive tours either on handsets that they hand out, or you can do it online. And a lot of museums were stopping using multimedia guides. If this is once they were reopening, and they wanted to get people to use their own devices, and therefore get people to that content online. So they asked us. So we did a survey, and instead of just asking about QR codes, I had a hunch that you can do a similar thing with something called short SMS, short number SMS. If you, and this is something that's used a lot in marketing, television. So if you are voting for, you're voting for your favorite couple on Strictly Come Dancing, one of the ways, obviously you can use the BBC app, but you can also text a number to a short number, you can text 01 to 546 369, whatever the number is, and you will be voting for someone. So this is a way of, and then that organization, the recipient of that email is allowed to email you back and say, yes, well done, your vote for so-and-so is registered. Now, and there's online services that you can use to do this. So any museum can register with an online service, get a short number, punch in the options that they're allowing, and then set the return message. And you can include a website address in that return message. So it's very easy for a museum. If a museum is wanting to send a link to a single page on a website, which may then have menus, it's just as easy for them to set up a short number link as it is to do a QR code. Now, that doesn't, the short number system doesn't, what you don't want to do if you're, for example, if your exhibition has got 5 objects in it or 6 objects in it, and you have a QR code at each one, and you're giving people different content at each of those, you probably wouldn't want to punch in 6 numbers and send 6 texts in your journey through the museum. So I wouldn't recommend it. But if you sent them to the landing page for a tour, and then people could access, and then they had descriptions how to get from the first stop to the second stop, then that could all be within the audio that they were or the text on the page that people were getting with that first link. So yeah, we did a survey, and what was very interesting is that most people were familiar with QR codes and had used them recently, and fewer people had used the SMS service. That wasn't surprising, but generally people found QR codes much less usable. So the short number SMS service had a higher net ease of use score of plus 26%. So I basically score, if someone said it was very easy, I gave 2 points. If they said easy, it was 1. If it was difficult, it was -1, and if it was very difficult, it was -2. So I worked out what everyone did, and basically the overall score was plus 26% for short number SMS, whereas QR codes was -42. So more people found it difficult or very difficult compared to QR codes. Now, obviously, the main issue with QR codes for blind and visually impaired people is locating them, knowing that they're there, and locating them. And invariably, many people will need help to find them and help and kind of confirmation that they have found it. So if they're visiting that museum or doing that thing on their own, they would have to rely on they would have to use a member of staff. So SMS, people felt better about it because you didn't have to point your phone at anything. Once you've been given that information, again, that information still needs to be conveyed. So a member of staff would have to tell you what to text. But then when you're texting, you don't need your phone to be pointing at anything, and so it's quite straightforward. However, the problem with SMS is the perception, is that people who don't know about it don't get why it would be useful. And we, in our survey, we didn't presume that people knew what it was. We explained what the benefit was. So despite the survey explaining how this would provide the same outcome, in other words, your phone being sent a link, many respondents still asked why it would be useful. There was the feeling that it involved more effort on their behalf compared to pointing a camera at a specific object. Whereas in reality, it's probably simpler. So that's interesting. It's got a perception problem. So we made a few, and we got lots of individual feedback and stuff. And obviously, everybody's different, have different levels of sight, different levels of digital confidence using phones. And what was interesting, and this is probably a good way to pass on to Javier, is that so we had 3 recommendations in the end. Firstly, that venues should consider that many blind or visually impaired people will not be comfortable using either technology and will rely on support from venue staff or a companion to do so successfully. Secondly, that you should offer both. And I think this is nearly always what we recommend, is don't do one thing, do several things, because different people will feel comfortable with them. And while QR is more widely used, it's just because people had to, because of COVID, and SMS is more usable. And our third recommendation was to explore Navilens as a potential better solution to QR codes, because several people recommended that. So that's me.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you very much indeed. Interesting to learn about your survey and the results.
I'm going to put the full link to the full report in the chat for anyone. Okay. People can check it out afterwards.
Okay. Yes. So, Javier, I wonder whether you would like to pick it up from here and explain some of the background to Navilens and how it's progressing, and maybe even a demonstration. You never know.
Perfect, Roger. Thank you so much. Okay, and thank you so much, Matthew, because I have enjoyed a lot your presentation and the facts that you have shared with the audience. Okay, I'm going to share my screen, okay, in order to show you a little bit about Nabilence. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. Could you confirm that you are seeing my screen? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so as Matthew has said, okay, there are, the QR code is a good invention that, as Roger has introduced, it was introduced in Japan 30 years ago, okay? But in Nabilence, we believe, okay, that it's possible to evolutionate the QR code itself, okay? So in the Nabilence, our mission is empowering the visually impaired through artificial markers. That is the QR code, the barcode, all of them are artificial markers, okay? The beginning of the project of Nabilence was that we saw that the challenging for a visually impaired person in order to be completely independent in unknown spaces. And we saw that the sighted people usually follow the signage in order to follow its destination, okay? So for example, in train stations, subway station, in airports, in hotels, in all kind of spaces, okay, sighted users use signage. So the idea behind Nabilence was, okay, why don't use the camera of the mobile phone and put something on the signage and read the information and deliver for the visual impaired users? And our first approach was, of course, seeing the different artificial markers that are in the market. Beginning with the barcode that was invented in the 50s, in the 50s in the USA, and obviously the QR code that was invented in Japan 30 years ago. And the problem, as Matthew has said previously, that the problem is that the QR code doesn't work because it's very difficult to read a QR code when you don't know where exactly is, because it's needed to focus and frame. It's very difficult. And it depends. If the code is very small, it's more difficult. If the code contains more information, it's more difficult. Okay, so it's really a challenge, a problem. So we spent 5 years of intense research and development here in Spain between our company and the University of Alicante in the south of Spain from 2012 to 2017 to create a new kind of QR code that can be read by a blind user. And after these 5 years, we achieved an incredible code that if you put a Nabilence code in a 20 centimeters code in an A4, in a standard piece of paper, it's possible to read up 12 meters far away in only 0.3 seconds, and without the need to focus or enframe it. What is the Nabilence code? What is the difference with the QR code? The Nabilence code uses colors instead of the QR code. A QR code is like a square with a lot of small dots, okay, small dots, that are black dots, okay, usually. And the Nabilence use 4 colors, use cyan, black, yellow, and magenta. And that 4 colors allow us in order to write more information in the same surface. And writing more information allow us to create bigger cells, bigger tiles, in order to be able to read further. Okay, and indeed the Nabilence code has a lot of features, but the most important thing are, first, distance. It's possible to read 12 times farther than the QR code. Second, angle. Angle is very important because you don't need to scan the code in front of the code as the QR code. You can scan the code with a very sharp angle, 160-degree angle, 80-degree in each X side. Okay, this code, as I have said, we finished the development in 2017, and we first test here in Spain with the Visual Impaired Association in Spain that is called ONCE. Okay, and we try in an environment where we put the Nabilence code in different booths, and the users were able to locate each booth when incredible independently. Okay, that is something like, you have some videos in Spanish, okay, that the users tell you, this is amazing, this is incredible, I can read the code. I can read the code without need to focus to it and without know exactly where the code is. It was incredible. And indeed, we are implementing this technology with many visual impaired associations across the world, like ONCE in Spain, RNEB in the UK, the Let's Have Kill in New York, and so many visual associations across the world. And I will quickly to introduce a demo, a demonstration, okay, as Roger has said to me, okay, in order that what are the current use cases of the Navilence technology. The first, we applied this technology first in transit, in particular in the buses of Barcelona, in the bus stop of Barcelona. So you know that if a visually impaired user want to go to any place, the user can use the GPS. But the problem is that with the GPS is that the GPS is not accurate enough for the last few meters, the last few yards wayfinding problem. The problem is you can know that you are close close to a bus stop, but where exactly is, okay? The GPS is not accurate enough. So we first add the Navilence code in the bus stops. And adding a Navilence code in the Barcelona bus stops, we allow the users that from 20 meters far away, the users can scan the code. I'm going to scan a code right now with my telephone number. I'm going to open, I'm going to put to focus, to look more or less to the screen. And this is the information that I'm going to receive.
25 inches away, bus stop number 12, upcoming arrivals, line H12 Besos Vernida imminent, line 52 PL Catalunya 1 minute, line 13 Mercat Sant Antoni 1 minute.
Okay.
20 inches, 15 inches.
Okay, so the system is telling me, reading the code, the exact distance to the element, that could be inches, okay, as you have heard. Okay, and additionally, the information that is linked with the code, that in this case, there are static information, this is a bus stop, and additionally, there are the real-time information about when the next buses are coming. That is quite amazing. And additionally, these codes are being used not only from the visually impaired community in Barcelona, as being used for tourists, okay, and people that are visiting Barcelona, because you have heard the message in English. But this message was written originally in Spanish, but Navilence translates automatically to 33 languages. So the idea is universal design. The same technology can help the blind users in order to be more independent in the transit in Barcelona. The sighted users can scan the code, okay, and obtain the information very quickly and in their own language, okay? Okay, so for example, here I have one example that is very funny. I'm showing a signage inside a train in Germany. This signage is telling something in German. I cannot speak German, but it's something like helfen Sie mir die, something like German. Okay, so the thing is, we have many problems here. The first one is this information that is in a poster inside a train cannot be read by a blind user. And the second problem is that the sighted users cannot understand if they don't speak German. Okay, so the point is, our vision is adding the Navilence code that is like a new version of the QR code that could be read super quickly and from a very long distance with a need to focus. We can have access to the information. If I scan this code, okay, that I'm showing right now, I will obtain this.
15 inches, seeing two different tags. The most centered is 6 feet away.
Sorry?
6 feet away. Help stop the spread of the coronavirus. 1. Wash your hands. 45 feet away.
Okay.
So
the thing is, I'm reading, okay, the instruction about the coronavirus in general, that wash your hands and something like that, okay? And as simple as adding a code into the information. Okay, this was this technology is being implemented across the world. Like, for example, I'm showing here one image of a bus stop of Manhattan with the Navilence code. Okay, and if I read it, I will have the information. And most recently, well, we have implemented in the subway station as well. Okay, because in subway station it's not possible to access to the GPS. Okay, converting the information of the signage. And very recently, we have implemented, okay, I'm going to go a little bit quick in order to have enough time in order to discuss. We have implemented in museums as well, okay, so using that technology in order to allow the users to visit independently one museum space. Okay, so like for example, here I'm showing one image of a blind user touching one artifact or one mock-up of a museum here in Spain, and the Naviance code is helping to locate where exactly is the mock-up and additionally to deliver the information. And recently, okay, as Roger has introduced, we have launched in the UK the first food package with a Naviance code. Food packaging are really challenging in order to access to all the information. The packaging has a lot of information, and so many times with a very small letter. And the point is, last year, celebrating the World Sight Day, the RNEB and Kellogg's launched in the UK, you must be very proud, in the UK, the first product with the Naviance code. And adding this code to the Naviance, to the package, we can access to all the information that the package has. Like for example,
12 inches away.
I'm going to read the code that I'm showing right now. Okay.
6 inches away, Kellogg's Cocoa Pops. 5 inches, stopping scan. Kellogg's registered sign. Cocoa Pops registered sign. Chocolate flavor toasted rice. Net weight 480 grams, 30% less sugar, just as delicious.
Okay.
That's right.
And
Kellogg's.
access to all the information of the ingredients, allergens, okay, all the information that the package has. Okay. So the incredible thing is that this was an incredible success. And Kellogg's was announced that following that success to that launch last year, becoming in January 2022, all the Kellogg's products across Europe will have the Naviance code on that product. That could be really a big thing. And again, we think that this code can really impact positively in the blind community, and at the same time offer experience for all the people in following an universal design. So thank you so much for the introduction about the Naviance technology.
Javier, thank you so much. Could I ask you to take one or two steps back, as it were, and just explain how you can acquire the app and what you do to get to the point where you were giving the demonstration of it? What somebody would need to do, what a blind person would need to do to be able to use it?
Okay, it's very simple. The Naviance, thank you so much, Roger, for the question. The Naviance app are free apps, of course. This technology is completely free for the users. And any user can download the Naviance apps that are available on iPhone and Android. Okay, we are launching this technology. It's needed to have in both platforms. And any user can go to the Google Play or the App Store market looking for Naviance. Naviance is an acronym of navigation lens, as is NAVILENS, Naviance, and downloading that. Okay, the users can scan the codes when, for example, going to the supermarket from January, when all the Kellogg's will have these codes, or for example, use in its houses, like for example, downloading the free Naviance code for personal purposes. Okay, so inside the app there are an option to download the free Naviance codes. The users can download 500 different Naviance codes that are blank, that are without content, and receiving it by email, printing it, okay, and use in anything that the user want to tag. Okay, and step by step, when this technology will be available in all the cities, on the transit authorities, all the places, okay, enjoying, okay, the capabilities of this technology, okay, in this kind of facilities.
Thank you. This sounds very, very interesting, and far more than just interesting, really, really practical for people. Annie, do we have any questions at the moment from?
Matthew has his hand up at the moment, and there's one that's come through on the chat from Peter. I don't know which one you want to take first, if Matthew, you're about to read that one out.
I was going to ask about what your business model is. So how, if a museum had an exhibition, how much would it cost roughly? How much would it cost them to set up NaviLens in their exhibition? And is it an ongoing cost or is it a one-off? What's that relationship with you?
Very good question. Okay, so that is the key. As I have said, okay, the technology is always free for the users. Okay, that is very, very important. So, and our business model is to charge to the owner or the manager of the facility in the same way that when a museum want to implement one signage or one information, they order the signage support, okay, printing the signage and something like that. Okay, in answering your question, we have different models, okay, that is coming from free to the facilities to paid one, okay. And the free, our mission is clear, is that this technology could become universal and all the people can benefit from this technology, okay. So from the free perspective, we have several kits, NaviLens kit, because beyond the personal cost that I said previously, that any user can download, okay, into the NaviLens app, any facility can download the NaviLens kits. The NaviLens kits are a set of pre-recorded NaviLens code with pre-recorded information. For example, if you are in a museum or in any place, you have toilets, okay, or restroom. So you have the one simple but usual problem that is this the male toilet or this is the female toilet or the non-gender toilet or something like that, okay? So if any facility go to free.navilens.com to the web page, free.navilens.com, can download a set of codes with common spaces in one facility, okay, that are pre-recorded, are one code that you download and is male toilet, another female toilet, another something like that, okay. If the museum wants to have specific information of one exhibition, one artifact, okay, in the same way that the museum put the signage, okay, they need to contact us, and we, depending on the number of codes, depending on the kind of experience, because it's possible to have experience in only one language, it's possible to have experience in different language, okay, depending on there is different kind of cost, okay. But in general, the good thing about this is that using at the end one code that can be printed, okay, finally is very effective for the museums, okay. So that is in general the business model of NaviLens.
Thank you. There was another question, wasn't there, Annie, I believe?
Yeah, there's a question in two parts from Peter. He says, how do you think the NaviLens code compares for navigation purposes against beacons such as the research performed in the US on the Bluetooth LE Navcog system? And then also, what are your thoughts on using ultra-wideband beacons to further enhance this functionality within the existing features of NaviLens?
Okay, Pete, thank you so much. It's a very clever and very interesting question. Okay, so indeed, at the beginning of the project, we researched with beacons and we made some trials. Okay, and beacons is a great idea. Okay, well, it was designed for advertising in general. Okay, but there are some projects that are using. Okay, and for trying to solve the navigation. Okay, challenges. But the problem with the beacons is that in my opinion, they are not offering the level of accuracy that the user needs. When you have a beacon, the signal depends on how the population, the people that is inside that space. That depends on the level of the battery of the device, okay? And the problem is that it's not accurate enough in general for the users, okay? And this is a really big problem because when you are inside a building or inside a train station, you need to know exactly where is the ticket machine, or where exactly is the elevator, or where exactly, okay, is the fare gate, something like that, okay? So NaviLens was born like a signage solution. When you have a signage, you have a NaviLens code and you can access to that information. But it was evolved to navigation. And one thing that I didn't mention in my presentation before is the new 360 vision experience. That is quite amazing. When you have the capability to read the code, the Naviland code, and receiving with an incredible accuracy what is the distance to the code, to the Naviland code, if we combine this with a 3D, the augmented reality, we can make a navigational solution for the users. I'm going to make a demonstration with a code that I have behind me. I have a code behind me like 5 meters far away. I'm going to change from imperial to metric, okay, in order to talk in the same measure, in the same measures, okay? So a moment, please. Okay, so the thing is, the incredible thing about this new 360 vision functionality is that we combine the scanning of the code with the navigational instructions. So I'm going to, more or less, I'm seeing to the camera, and I'm going to open my mobile phone, and the camera will point back to me. And back to me, there are a code, a Naviland code, okay, behind me, okay? So in the moment that that code will be located, so scanned by the application, automatically we receive some sounds, okay? Thank you for your help, okay, translating me, okay, okay, so the point is, and in that moment, we'll hear different sounds. Drums, that is 3 sounds, a bell that is indicating me if the code is being in the same direction of the camera. So I'm going to read.
Activating 360 vision. Lock code. Bus stop.
Okay, so
4 meters to your right.
Okay, so the incredible thing is that if I
4 meters to your right.
if I sing to you,
4 meters behind.
It's saying behind.
4 meters
If
to your right.
if I see to the right, it's 4 meters to the right. If I check the mobile phone, I will obtain exactly where the bus stop is.
On your 4 meters away, bus stop. Next arrivals, the next M23 SBS.
Okay, and I'm going to move forward to that code, okay?
3 meters ahead. 3 meters. 2 meters. Bus stop West 23 Street, 9 Avenue. Next arrivals, the next M23 SBS
So
bus to east side.
the thing that I have done is combining the Naviland code with a 3D navigation system that is quite amazing. That is the reason that we believe that this technology is super versatile, okay? Can be applied to give accessible information and at the same time can serve as a navigational tool for the users.
Thank you, Javier. I can certainly see that you could explore. You and Matthew have things that you can explore together after this event sometime. Annie, do we have any further questions?
Yeah, there's quite a few that have come through. But before the last few came in, Charmaine put her hand up. I'm not sure if that's because you wanted to ask a question, Charmaine. So if you wanted to come off mute.
Yes, it is. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
that's
hear
great.
you.
Thank you. It's the first time I've put my hands up, being a visually impaired cis woman in my late 40s, mother of 2 young children that like aforementioned Coco cereal. So I will be investigating that in the new year, and I'll be downloading the Naviland app very soon after finishing this this session, I think. Javier, thank you. This is tremendously exciting. I think it's fantastic. And Matthew, thank you for the work you're doing. I've recently completed the FutureLearn course about audio description.
Oh, fantastic.
And I cannot tell you how much I got from that. I absolutely loved it, and I've learned so much. I think it's fantastically progressive conversation.
Thank you.
Similar to, I've been following AbilityNet for a while, and I think, you're just leading the way in this area. It's just fantastic, and all the conversations on this TechShare Pro as well. What I wanted to ask, because I'm really excited about Navilens and the potential for devisualizing the museum. I think maybe you've just connected through this forum, but I wonder what you both see the potential for museums being as a result of Navilens and other audio description services as well. Let's not leave them out.
Thank you for your question. Matthew, would you like to go first on that?
Yes, I am happy to go first, but I think that Javier's probably thought a lot more about the potential for museums Navalens than I have, but I think that, you know, there's huge potential in that, you know, you can link, you know, it's that thing of linking individual objects or individual labels next to objects with individual bits of audio that could have description. It can help with navigation around the venue without complex audio, because actually the app itself, as Javi has just you know, just demonstrated, can very easy, you know, kind of guide you around. It would be great to do, and you may well have done it, experimented with a whole museum exhibit. Is that right, Javier?
Yes, Matthew is right. Okay, indeed, and thank you so much, Charmaine. I hope that pronounced well your comments. Okay, because yes, we are really excited with the possibilities of the Navilens technology, and in particular, in museums, we are having an incredible demand. Okay, so an incredible interest of the market. Okay, because the point is, for example, when we start this project, okay, my colleague Pedro, that is a blind user, told me, Javier, if I want to go to a museum here in Spain, I need to call previously to the museum, organize a group visit, okay, and join 20 people together in order to have a guide, in order to guide through the museums, okay? And I said, oh my God, this is impossible. This must be changed, okay? This must be, we need to change that, okay? And the incredible thing about the Navilens is that a museum has a lot of information, interesting information, okay? Has a lot of cultural information, okay? Detail of the pieces, okay? Multimedia, so a lot of information, okay? And the combination, as Matthew has said, about content to specific artifacts or specific objects are incredible. Indeed, I'm going to share a little bit one slide, okay, that previously I jumped for a question of time, okay? So this slide is showing a code that we have linked to one particular museum here in Murcia. It's a very little museum, a very small museum. And the point is, this code is serving for the users to describe the artifact, okay? So if I scan,
78 centimeters away, bust of Adriano. In front of you has the bust of Hadrian. Adriano's bust comes from the Roman town of Torjones. It is from the Roman era, from the year 135 after Christ.
Okay.
This male bust.
This is automatic translation. Okay, maybe it's not the best, no, but the point is
fine.
Okay, great. Google Translate is working much better. But this information, it was introduced originally in Spanish. Okay, so the point is, in the slide, I'm showing, okay, I'm showing 5 screens of the Navilens app application. The first one is pictures with text, okay? That is like the functionality of an audio guide of any museum that is possible to read. The second one, okay, is the same information in easy to read. That is information especially said in easy reading, okay? To be more simple. The third one is pictograms for people with cognitive disabilities. The fourth is a video for this specific object in sign language, okay? That counts, okay, the history, okay, about that. And the fourth screen, okay, is the screen of the text that is reproduced in audio, okay? So it's very exciting seeing that combination of the content and technology can make a real difference for the independently of the blind users, and at the same time can create content for everybody, independent if they have disabilities or no. Okay, and I would like to clarify that that is important. Navilens, we don't provide the content itself. Navilens is a platform. Okay, so Navilens, okay, the customer can create their own codes in a cloud space. But we are not providing the experience. We are not providing the content, okay? But we are providing the platform and a new kind of QR code that is in the Navilens code that allow us to be like a connection. But it's important, the technology, and it's very important as well, the content, okay, and the experience. Okay?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Annie, how many questions do we have? Because I'd like to, if we can have short, short answers to get through as many questions as we can in the next, say, 5,
I
10.
think we've got about 5 or 6 questions.
Okay, let's try and deal with them all in the next few minutes, because I'd like people to have answers.
Sure. There's one that's been asked by a couple of people. Is there a hope that the default camera app in iOS and Android will one day scan NaviLens codes?
I hope, in order to make very short, okay, following Roger's indication, okay, I hope so. You only need to talk with Google and Apple, okay? so I hope so, but at the moment it's not in the plan, okay?
Okay, thank you. Good question.
There was a quick question from Anne-Marie about will the slides for NaviLens be made available? Would that be possible, Javier, if you send them over? We can make them available in the resources section.
Of course.
That's fine. So we have another question. How do businesses create content for NaviLens? Can they build on top of the platform? For example, if I wanted to use it in an office location, could I develop the content that each code should mention? And what's the security model of the platform, since it appears to be cloud-based?
Okay, very good question as well. I have said there is a cloud system where and you can log in. Okay, the business owner or the manager can log in and create and put the content and update the content at any time. And regarding the security, the NaviLens server are totally secure. Indeed, NaviLens has the ISO 27 certification. That is the certification for that audit that one IT service is completely secure.
Brilliant. I hope that answers that question. Annie, any?
A similar question, would it be possible to create personal content, for example, voice recording and video, which is stored on a web address, for example? If you created some poetry, can you then save it to a website and use the NaviLens code?
Yes, it's possible to add any links, okay, to the NaviLens code in order to jump to any content that any user could create.
Fantastic. I think there was another hand up. Let me just find it. Oh no, I think it's gone down now. Oh no, it's back up.
I put it in the comments section. Hi guys, first of all, awesome presentation. It's Mark here from RNIB Technology for Life team. Matthew, okay, fantastic. And basically, I used to work in a museum before I started working at RNIB. Long time ago. I haven't got my camera on, but I had a lot less grey hair. You'll have to trust me on that one. And essentially, I'm thinking as this device is more going to be in this technology is more and more useful, not only for the information we're getting, but also for people to not have to borrow a sort of audible recording device from when they're going around a museum, and quite often those recording devices can be in bad condition, there can be bad audio, they can be difficult to use, there can be a lot of buttons on them, they don't support speech. People are far more comfortable with their own device, with their own mobile, and then obviously having our support on how to use the accessibility around that along with AbilityNet. So I think it's going to transform it. I mean, for me now, I get quite frustrated when I'm in a museum and the font isn't large enough to read. My wife kindly reads it to me, but I want to explore that information. I want her to go off down one section and me to go off down another. I want 5 minutes peace from her. So if the NaviLens can grant that, then that's brilliant, isn't it?
But it's and Mark, it's the independence it gives you as well.
Of course it is, absolutely. But I thought I'd throw a bit of humour in there as well.
No. we all enjoyed that.
So thank you.
Thank you. I know there's not time to go into this now, but I know that I think the possibility further down the road is that we may not even need smartphones to use it, and that it could become a wearable as this technology also develops. So does that, I'm just double checking with Annie again, does that kind of wrap up the questions?
I think another hand might have gone up.
Last one.
Yeah, from Bryn, if you'd like to join, Bryn.
Hi, thank you. Hello again. I'm following you around, Javier, for yesterday and today. I just wanted to try and I mean I'm very, very, very interested and curious about this whole thing, but something I don't even know how to pose the question that I really want to ask. So I'm going to try a slightly different way. What needs to happen? So we talked about NaviLens being included in like a smartphone camera software. Who do you see as being responsible for driving, you know, the big kind of policy change to make NaviLens more everyday? Is that governments? Is it business? Or is it yourself? Like who need what? How does this work?
Okay. I think we've got the question. I would say that it's probably a combination of many things. But Javier, would you like to just briefly?
Thank you so much, Bryn, and thank you so much, Roger. I completely agree with you. For our side, we are working very, very hard. Okay, so the thing is that, as Roger has said, it's a combination of all of them. Okay, first the community. Okay, second, okay, the government. Third, the companies. Okay, but the point is, based on your experience, a lot of people is supporting, okay, that this will happen. Okay, but obviously all the help that any can do will be very, very appreciated, because we have that objective that this technology will be ubiquitous, okay, that will be present, that will be available everywhere. Okay, so we are doing all that we can. Okay, but if you can support us, or any attendee can support us, it will be really appreciated.
Great, wonderful. Thank you for all the questions. Can I just conclude by sincerely thanking Javier, Matthew, and Annie for making this session possible, and obviously thanking everybody who has attended for your interest, your questions, and I hope this will be regarded as a good conversation starter and a way to move things forward and further avenues for exploration. So with that, I will conclude this event. Thank you all for your time and trouble for attending. Thank you.
Thank you too, Roger.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.